here we go. Going to be going straight into what the knife round is going to be trained, of course. So nothing too fancy. Just waiting to see kind of what the T side are going to do in terms of choices. And there you have it, our result. Our choices have been made, and we are going to go live straight into what will be this first match of the EPS Spring 2017. About time, to be honest, as well. I think it's been long awaited to really get into this one. But it is going to be Imi buying up that kit. Kevlar, for the most part, across the board, aside from Ezio, who's going to go for the more utility-based play. Capers and Co as well, a bit of a similar story for them, except it's all based around Kevlar. That's the book they're trying to write, but is it going to pay off for them as Crimjay facing all but alone up against Mighty Max? It's going to be a lot of burst aggression coming out from the Royals UK side. They try and spurt their way out now on towards this B site. It is going to be Tesco to try and lead the charge out of lower. Almost a bit of a fake and switch at this point, as it is a bit of a fountain from Royals out from heaven. Crimjay now looking to push them into a box. Force Endpoint to feel almost a little bit uncomfortable, but Laza too quick on the trigger, finds that one tap. And from there makes that job just a little bit easier now for the CT side to try and contest this site as Max landing his shots. Another tap on towards Jack. Laza looking for a bit of an elevated one now back on return, and it's all but working out for the CT side as they find themselves shots across the board, leaving Testro all alone. A 1v5 on the table, finds himself one, makes that to 2, looking for the third now. Well, and just really back up against the wall, and unfortunately 2 kills, well, and maybe merited, but it's not quite enough to pull it off. Endpoint, they will take the first pistol round of this season and of this match. Royals now have a couple of choices to make. You know, we know they got that bomb plant, of course, so they're not really going to be screaming investment from the top of their lungs, but it is just going to be some pistols for the most part. Just going for a couple of heads, see if they can tap those away, do some damage, just chip at the economy of Endpoint overall. You know, they don't want to allow those UMPs and SMGs overall to make too much Skrilla in this round, but this is kind of the perfect standpoint. Hudgy and Imi going to dunk straight onto Tesco, just making sure they utilize their utility to its best advantage. Imi now presented with a big potential to make himself so much money, and well, it is going to be him finding himself that triple. Hudgy is going to still run away, just plucked with the M4. But it's a lot of money overall, and I think Endpoint, they're going to be happy days about it. They've had the perfect start, got exactly what they're looking for. They can now throw that AWP over towards Laza, which pretty much means that in terms of kind of getting set up to counter this first buy round coming in from Royals, they're happy days. They have all the tools they need. All they have to do now is just play the round right. As Laza is going to be looking to take this quick peek. RoyalsUK though, I'm not pretty much giving him anything at all. Crimjay could show to peek this angle. Hudgy is going ever so close and aggressive. Laza now there to aid him as well, just be a bit more of a supporting figure, but he's going to back off. It's a bit of an interesting round, but Hudgy should be looking, has the advantage in this Jaws. He just goes for that quicker peek. Flash in towards Pop Dog. Max could be caught completely off guard, and that is going to be the case, so a quick trade. But Laza looking towards Pop Dog is smart, and I think Royals certainly have an idea that that is going to be a very contended position, so they've decided, okay, yeah, we're going to wrap back towards B. That's where we're going to have our best chance of success. They push out towards Heaven. Jack there to try and find that first pick, gets it to success on towards Ezio, so already giving themselves an opportunity to push harder and harder, as Laza is going to find one in return, but look at Jack's position. He's trying to cut down Laza, and he's going to do a good job at looking for the double kill now. Imi going to be there to try and contest it, but both players are going to miss their sprays, and it's going to be a bit of a whiffing affair, as Hudgy is going to find one back on the table. Neff. Jack will fall eventually to Imi's sidearm. That certainly wasn't what Royals were looking for, but Imi seemingly struggling a little bit in that duel for just a second, as now Cape is going to look to try and hold this one out. He's got the position on ramp. The smoke is going to go down. He's trying to play around it, but the shoulder peek right into the crosshair of Imi is just too much for him to handle. So Imi is just going to spray away, get those shots in the chest, and end his days. And Endpoint, they get themselves the first barrel, and they take it 3-0. And RoyalsUK are going to have to look to kind of plunder up all their economy at this point and make a decision on, okay, what do we do here? Do we just sit tight? Do we just get some pistols, get some utility, perhaps try and get that bomb plant? Because all in all, they don't have that much at all, and kind of the best play they can make is exactly what they've done. Buy those Tech 9s, buy down to that kind of 2k marker. They have minimal investment, they have enough to make a play if Endpoint give them the opportunity, but at the same time, all in all, it's, you know, nothing too crazy in investment, nothing they can't just shrug off in the next round. Well, it's rather kind of good timing that we said shrug it off, because that's really all Royals get to do. Just blink for a second, and RoyalsUK will disappear as Endpoint are going to mow them down, dismantling them on that low economy round. And we are back again at what will be the buy. Rifles are plenty. AWP on towards Crimj. We talked about him at the start for being an extremely pivotal player for the Royals UK lineup. A huge factor in kind of getting themselves this qualification spot, getting themselves in towards EPS. What can he deliver in a time of need? Royals, they want to step up back onto the plate. They want to get themselves around to work with something that can mould into a future for this team. But Lazar, he's going to go aggressive, try and throw a bit of a wrench in the works, just catch Royals off guard. And a lot of this also feels like Endpoint are kind of trying to change the mentality of Royals UK. Make them feel like they're pushed into a box and they don't have many options on their T side, which, you know, if Endpoint can successfully achieve that, then we are looking at what could be very, very quickly a bit of a whitewash half for Endpoint as they continue to build up these rounds. But it comes down to how Royals UK are willing to adapt and whether Endpoint have, you know, many different pushes to bring to the table. Is Lazar's still going to be holding that close angle? Eventually looking to perhaps adjust around those trains. He is going to find that pick on towards Crimj and now going to hold for that second, knowing full well that there are more than just one player there. But Neff and Jack really should have better ideas about peeking this. Lazar is going to win this duel, no matter what. Unless they can flash themselves out and get a perfect smoke or something, Lazar's got that duel hands down. So the best play for them to do is to either get away or try and play together. Pudgy with the M4 is going to hold the push to come out from Jack. He tries to make the play and he gets cut on down. Imi to find himself another on towards Tesco. At this point it is all but falling apart. Lazar does win the duel on towards Neff, as we previously talked about. Hudgy to find another headshot on towards Capiz, and every single brick falls into place for the Endpoint lineup. Everything they want to happen does take place, and Royals UK, that box we started to talk about, well and truly forming. These buy rounds have all gone one direction. They've all been played out in a certain way. We've really kind of almost looking for that bit of flair now coming from this T side going into this next buy round. But for now, it's back to bare bones, back to basics. A skeletal round, Tech 9s, Kevlar. Enough for them to push on towards the site, in all fairness. Enough for them to get a bomb plant, stabilize that economy, at least put a band-aid on it for a short amount of time. It's just whether Endpoint will be able to cope with this close-knit aggression, be able to handle it all. Zezio is going to be looking for an impact, finds himself one, looking now for a second. If he could achieve that, then he's already pretty much done his job, but he is going to be cut down by a close-range pistol. Max, on the other hand, though, flies back in with a rifle and looks to go off the handle somewhat as he claims the life of Capiz. Crimj making a quick-witted decision to wrap from behind. Now, this could be huge, because if Endpoint are delayed in their retake on this site, then Crimj pretty much swings in from connector and has the opportunity to pretty much cut this down before it even gets going, as Neff is going to find one, but Lazar and Imi will combine. Crimj impactless, as he's unable to make it work on that flank. Imi and Lazar just going to take them down. Money Max finding himself too, most importantly, taking down that player on towards Heaven as well, meaning that there's no kind of peak down position. And it's 6-0 for Endpoint. We've talked about these buy rounds quite a lot, so I think we can always brush that under the carpet and we'll look to see what Royals are going to do, which seems to be very much unfurled aggression. Jack there to try and really push forward, break those boundaries, but he's only going to be traded out, which actually kind of favours the CT side in this scenario if they can keep it going at this point. They've got the positional advantage. Royals UK are trying to use aggression against them, and Imi is going to fall actually, and Neff taking full advantage of that as he then punishes Max swinging around that corner. Lazar is going to be behind them with the Tech 9 and the AWP though. Ezio looking to make it work. Throws down a Molotov, lands directly on Capiz's feet. Lazar is still lurching in the shadows. Smoke going to go down on towards that bomb. Neff going to pick off Ezio though in return. That certainly makes Lazar's chances just that little bit more difficult now, as that bomb is going to keep on taking Crimj and Neff. They should combine into what will be a two-pronged attack. Don't allow Lazar this opportunity to take them by advantage. There's one Tech 9 dink to go on out. Really has to get on this bomb at this point. Knows full well if that's the case. He's going to be there to hold the angle. He's going to be sticking it as well. The pick is going to come on out though. Neff more than happy just to slide on out and find that headshot. And Royals UK, it was a bit of a rough start, but once we saw that original pick onto Max, then they were able to bite off of that and use that aggression and get themselves wrapped into between those trains, and Endpoint couldn't really handle it. Who's your brother then, Bill? That's the question. If you got if on the lineup of Endpoint, who is your brother? I don't know which one of them has brothers or not, so I'm generally quite curious now. Crimjay looking to repeat similar successes in the round just before, and Hudgy just going to give it to him at this point. Neff there to find the second as well. They are going to line up though for him as he finds himself a quick knitted double kill. Tesco on just 4 HP as well certainly means this round can quickly be turned back to a 2v2, and from there contested by the CT side, but it still relies on the picks favouring that CT side, which in this case, unfortunately there is no positional advantage to be the saving grace this time around. A nade to go right on down, which will dunk on towards Capis. So there's that 2v2. Is Imi there to try and take that Angel up against Jack? Ezio looking to swing around the side. We're searching for a bit of direction at this point. With just 4 HP left, that's a rough amount. Even when he takes the shot, Ezio is going to flick back to him. It's going to be a triple kill for Ezio in that round. A double kill for Imi as they line up to him towards the right side of that green train. Right up that hallway. And Endpoint. What would have been a bit of a stud round after RoyalsUK did find themselves one. Well, they've been able to handle it. They've kind of pushed it aside under the carpet as RoyalsUK find themselves economically broken. The bomb plant and co will actually help them somewhat, but it's nothing fancy enough to bring them to a level of, okay, yeah, we're going to bind this round. They're still on these Tech 9s. They're still on these smokes. Only even one set of Kevlar, no helmet on towards Jack. So, you know, all in all, RoyalsUK are starting to have a bit of a mountain to climb. Clock is going to keep on ticking. RoyalsUK know that they are going to have to set themselves up for a mood eventually. And it certainly seems to be pointing towards a bit of an Ivy Pop Dog split on towards A, which is actually fairly conventional, and you can do quite a lot with it, but you can also fake towards the B side, which we are starting to see kind of fall into place. But Imi, he's got these spray downs before, and he's doing them again. Finds himself that single kill, which may feel like just a single kill, but it really kind of then makes RoyalsUK doubt their presence over towards Ivy. And instead now they kind of realize, okay, we have to force it. It's Ezio there to find the double kill on towards B. Shuts down any bomb plant attempt, and then Max there to aid Imi to make sure his life isn't going to be claimed by any aggression as he holds the crossfire. Has to be said, very well thought out CT side from Endpoint. You have to kind of give it to him, just the subtle positional changes, just making sure, you know, for Imi's sake, for example, when he gets that first pick on towards Pop Dog, or on towards Ivy, sorry, then he kind of falls back, allows Max then to hold his crossfire to make sure that he can't be rushed. All of these small decisions really kind of making up to be this very competitive CT side that right now RoyalsUK on their T side don't seem to be able to penetrate. They did have that one round wonder, so to speak, but I think it is fair to kind of describe it as that now, as that was kind of almost unbridled aggression, which repeating that is going to be difficult, because Endpoint, once they know that aggression is going to be the end of the game, you're going to find yourselves pre-knitted a whole lot. You're going to find a lot of these angles start to be covered just that little bit better. And that adaptation from Endpoint has always been their strong point when you have got a leader like Imi behind you. Molotov to go down towards upper. It's going to be one for HUDG, but Tesco very quick on the trigger, snaps right on towards his cranium, trades it right back. Ezio in a bit of an odd aim duel, but still wins it nonetheless. Now as Crimjay going to be looking with the ADO, he finally gets himself another frag on the board. A bit of a struggling performance from him in this first half, but he steps up and has an impact in a dear time as the Molotov now has to go on down. Crimjay going for his second on towards Imi. Max will try and clear out Heaven. He's done it before to success. Lazar close angles with the AWP. But is he able to land the shots? Is going to find himself completely blind. Tesco, though, not quite checking into the angles. Instead, he's going to lose his life to money. Max, but Lazar only able to find the trade. His cape is just behind him, and he's able to peek on out the minute he realizes there is a player there contending that spot. And RoyalsUK get themselves something to work with, a shred of hope. 8-2. Endpoint will look to crush their economy. They're back to exactly where it originated from. Interesting performance as well, because we talked about Imi and the fact that, you know, there were a couple of shots that he was struggling with right at the start of the match, but if you kind of look at a broader scale and you look aside from just a couple of rounds, he's actually been playing very, very well. 12-3 right now for him, so props certainly has to go his direction for stepping up both as a leader and as an individual on the CT side. Lazar using elevation in this round to kind of add that to his tactical book, trying to use that to kind of almost take advantage of RoyalsUK there. If you can get that first pick and then potentially even re-peak for the second, there's already a huge impact in itself. Do hear an AWP shot fire off though, and it doesn't seem to have landed. It will be Crimjay trying to find one of his own in return, and should be able to peek in towards the angle of Lazar, but he is too quick on the trigger. A little speed demon in the making as Lazar there to re-peek it. Neff is going to punish him. But he does take the tag. 16 HP is all that he remains on. Now just imagine if Lazar lands that shot without a tag. Completely different story. But for RoyalsUK, we talked about that shred of hope. Well, it starts to develop somewhat. It starts to brew into something that maybe they can play with. But then a dry peek in towards Imi. Yeah, that's questionable. Izio now going to be there over towards the B site. And RoyalsUK just walk into a complete another bloodbath. Jack 5 HP. He's got no faith left. No amount of praying he can do, no amount of solidarity he can push for, it's going to make him get out of this round nice and safe. Instead, all that's going to happen is history, yet again, is going to repeat itself. Just a couple of rounds ago, we saw RoyalsUK enter the fold with a round. Then they got straight off the bat reset with a nice clutch from Endpoint. And now it's a similar story yet again. They enter the fold with a round. And surprise, surprise, we've just said it. Endpoint, they break back their economy, force them back to Tech 9s, force them back to these pistols. Endpoint taking train like a breeze. Scott's having a great time in chat, just really rallying behind Lazar. I see you. Couple of frags here and there. Tech 9 is looking to be a bit of a curveball in this round with that aggression. Let's go with the Deagle actually, making it work. Ezio and Lazar are actually going to have to retake this now. Bear in mind as well, Kevlar is on the side of RoyalsUK. They have got 2 M4s. It is just that Deagle on Tesco, but those 2 M4s could be enough to close it out. It relies so much now on Endpoint to bring this one back, otherwise they have a lot to lose. And RoyalsUK a lot to gain as Ezio is trying to peek in towards Capers' angle, but he's going to play this one for time, doesn't want to take a battle he has no need to take. Ezio's still going to be searching for a smoke, almost certainly going to go on out, and Lazar just looking to stick this one. They don't have the kit on towards his soul, they are just spamming into it, and eventually the Deagle is going to find him, and Capers going to close on in and find a headshot as well. And an interesting decision there to put Lazar on the bomb, considering he had no kit. But I think all in all, Endpoint, they knew that they were kind of shoved up against the wall, and that's a big blunder from them, giving those Tech 9s the opportunity to get in close and then get those headshots. It starts to open the door back up towards a bit of a 9-6. The question is, are Endpoint there to shut it again nice and quickly? Are they going to be able to stop RoyalsUK from really gaining any traction all off of this? Are we looking at just a 12-3, kind of dressed up in what feels like a bit of glamour for Royals, or is it all but over for them? Escape is going to lead the charge. Aggression certainly seems to be the point that has worked for them. I think they really do need to keep this going, because it's literally the only rounds they've been able to pick up have all been down to aggression. Ezio tries to spray through post, is going to find himself punished by Max. Hud Street looking to make this elevated angle work. If he can peek in towards Crimjay right now, that would be great, but the smoke is going to be there to act as a bit of a shroud. Tesco to pick it off Hud Street, as previously mentioned. Lazar there with the AWP, and oh, they are going to have to just walk away from this one. Imi and Lazar will remain unscathed, but that is going to be about it. Their team and kind of their economy and all in all, not really going to be looking to be too positive of a picture. As RoyalsUK start to give themselves a staging ground the playoffs.
Terrorists win.
Endpoint going into this with pretty much everything they've got. 5-7 on Ezio. Hard sheet with the Deagle. The Famous on towards Imi, and they've got those rifles near OP on towards Lazar as well, so it's not exactly, you know, pitch point terrible, but it's not exactly the sort of thing that you want to stand there and kind of rally behind, the thing you want to cheer. Hopefully we see these pistols take those closer fights. Actually just going to greet them with a flash and just let them know that there is certainly presence towards this B site, which is always a smart plan, just to kind of plant that seed of doubt into the back of the mind of those B players. Just let Capers and Neff know that if you are going to push on towards B, then you will have something to deal with, which I think is always a good plan. Tesco, a bit of a similar affair for him over towards Ivy as he looks to peek dry. Catch the life of Imi. Ezio's pistol, though, actually going to work out for him. He gets the pick on towards Capers. Crimj with the AWP, though, will find it quick to be returned. Max holding on towards the site. Needs to be able to pick up Crimj here. That's pretty much his sole objective right now. Find the AWP, and then from there, drop down those Molotovs and just stay alive and do as much damage as you physically can. 4 HP on towards Tesco is a low amount. Is it going to be enough? That's a big question, but Ezio boosted on that box. Well, that certainly stops any ground from being gained by this T site. Neff trying to take the longer range battle. Gets it to success. Ezio is still up on this box, though, and Jack, what are you doing? You know he's there! Huge mistake coming in from Jack there. A round that potentially could have been won is now very much on the edge as Neff has to clutch it out 1 versus 2. Tries to go for that plant, holds the angle for Ezio, finally clocks on to his teammates' previous failings. We'll be able to get that bomb down. It's going to be Neff versus Hudgy. Bamus up against M4. Neff choosing to play it very much so from connector, and from there perhaps even going to get himself back into those trains. Hudgy doesn't have a kit. We'll look to try and kind of pick one up if he can find one. And we'll be able to, there you go, find one in connector. But Neff is playing this one so smart, really just tripping down that time. The kit is going to be toggled from Hudgy. Hudgy does peek directly into it. He's still waiting for this duel to be taken, and he's got no time left. All in all, it's pretty much just done. Neff is going to win the battle, makes up for the team's misforgivings. And Endpoint left with nothing to play with going into this round now. Just $2,000 and such, really not a positive amount. But it's going to be SMGs at least, which is, it's something. RoyalsUK just, yet again, unzipping their T side now. Revealing, oh, there's just so much aggression from them. They just don't want to hold back, they don't want to stop, but Lazar is going to find himself a make that a triple kill from him. Max going to find another with the UMP, and perhaps it is going to be 10-5 over that 9-6 after all. Something we kind of talked about right as RoyalsUK starting to be able to string rounds together. That's what it sort of felt like. It felt like 9-6 was going to be where we found ourselves at, but there you have it. It's going to be just one little bit better for the CT side. Endpoint, they get themselves 10-5, which I think, you know, certainly something they can handle, and really comes down to this pistol round, but I feel like Endpoint could have done better, if I'm honest. I do feel like there were certainly rounds that RoyalsUK won where Endpoint could have held them off better, but there are so many different variables that you can analyze to why the rounds were able to be won, kind of what helped them, what didn't help them and such, that I think it's, you know, such a tough job, and that would really take a lot of demo analysis to really kind of pinpoint it, but just off the cuff, it was that aggression from RoyalsUK that Endpoint started to kind of fall apart against. They were able to handle the early rounds, which adds a bit of confusion into it, because the early round aggression, you know, they almost completely dismantled it with these picks, with these calculated plays coming in from Lazar and the crossfires and such from Max and Imi. But once we started to see RoyalsUK literally just push as a 5 on towards the A site, Endpoint weren't necessarily confused, but being able to handle that with the appropriate flashes, with the appropriate setups, seemed to be pretty damn tough. And for RoyalsUK, they were just improving over time. Their players all started to hit shots. We saw Crimj finally enter the fold, having an impact after what was a blisteringly bad half for him. Bit of a similar fare for Jack as well. Skux, something tells me I don't want to give you mod, considering the amount of spam and Lazar love that you're bringing to the table right now. So that's like, it's just a subtle hint that maybe mod for you is not the greatest idea. T-side looking for this pistol, get themselves well and truly wrapped around side of RoyalsUK. Jack is going to find one, makes that a second on towards Max. Crimj to find another one towards Ezio as Envy to tap on away, looking to claim that life at a quick trade, but is he going to be able to achieve it? It is that 2 versus 3. Jack is going to be low, but there's a kit and there's a nade on Crimj. That should almost certainly be able to do some damage, which it is going to do that, knocking Envy down to 18 HP, and he's going to be led to his death by Crimj. Sachi now looking up on death's doors, trying to fight his way out, up against the wall, up against Capes and Crimj. Bomb is dropped on side as well, so he has no choice but to contest for this A site. Comes down to, can he land those headshots? Do they talk about his one-taps? Or do they talk about his misforgivings? Is going to be able to peek on out. Crimj better somewhat battle him. I think Capes is by far the more concerning force for Hudgy to try and deal with now, because the minute he even clocks onto that position, Then he realizes that, oh, okay, I have to cross. Looking at that clock, looking at the player of Crimj as well now, just kind of pushing him down towards B trains. It's just tag after tag after tag, and it may not be a kill, but even that amount of damage being dished out just makes this one so much harder for Hudshi to try and pull off now. Goes aggressive, tries to spot him out, knows Crimj is over towards Electric, still kind of doesn't have full idea on where KPiz is playing. We'll be able to pick up the bomb, but with 10 seconds left, it is all but over. Jack to we'll try and go for a bit of a dunk nade, but nonetheless isn't really going to be doing too much. Oh, there you have it. Actually does a whole lot more than expected. And this is a bloodbath. Neff right into the Skrilla. As Tesco will combine, stealing some away from saying, no, I want some of the money as well, man. Don't take it all for yourself. Tries to pry into that effective bank robbery of the side of Endpoint. RoyalsUK get that perfect start off the back of that pistol. They get to string those rounds together. Endpoint still have to sit tight. Can't afford to do anything at all. Just Glocks for days. That's all they will be able to bring to the table. That's not exactly kind of great weaponry, is it? Tesco trying to hold off against these pistols. Does the job of it so far. Jack going to be there to hold the crossfire. Actually take out a whole lot more damage than he really kind of tries to. Does whip out his sidearm though, the USP, then it's pretty trusty at that because it finds all the headshots he was looking for, including the damage on towards the shoulder. I think it was Crimj. But now RoyalsUK have to kind of prove something in what will be a pretty tough test for them. Can they deal with Endpoint on a T side on a full buy when you have got Lazar on the AWP, you have got Mighty Max, you have got Imi, you got Hudshi, Ezio and Co. all on these rifles, all the utility they need to really pull off a perfect, execute a perfect push? Can RoyalsUK survive that? Do they have that sustainability to be able to push on through that? It seems like their game plan is to go aggressive, but surely they're going to know that Endpoint have played against teams that have done this before. And Zimmy, quick on the trigger, decides, oh, Jack, you're doing that? Yeah, see ya. Takes him down. Very quick one-tap, very, very swift. Hudshi now to push on through. Knows full well there's going to be a second player nearby, and he gets that pick as well. That's a scripted round. RoyalsUK, it's got to be said. You should know better than that. That's standard Endpoint stuff. Cheers, Minty, for the compliments, by the way. Loving the chat spam that Mr. Hui and Skux are trying to bring to the table. It's a shame it's not original. It's kind of the same old Lazar CS spam and Jack and anti-cheat stuff, but maybe we can get something a bit more tight-knit next time. Who knows? You gotta up your game, boys. I want to see something better. At least if you get a spam chat, make it good, right? Ezio, gotta find herself that headshot on towards Tesco. Lazar is gonna get himself another on towards Crimj. KPiz, well, gonna borrow the dictionary of munchables here and just kind of really highlight the fact that KPiz quite literally has Mount Everest to climb. Damage is certainly going to be done, but that's about it. KPiz does get himself 2 kills overall. The only man to get kills at all for RoyalsUK in that round, and well, I guess there's your answer to the test of RoyalsUK on their CT side. At least in the early days. Endpoint going to get their 11th. Now the interesting thing is the economy of Royals, right? Because you've got 3 players, including KPiz, who saved in that round before. So yeah, this should total up to a buy, right? They've got a lot of money, so they're going to get the AWP on towards Crimj, get a drop towards Tesco with that Famus. He can then get utility and Kevlar, and it pretty much works out for RoyalsUK to get a second chance at life. Our Endpoint, though, just going to deliver a swift double tap. Nade right at the feet of Tesco. 68 HP is what he's met with. Lazar bearing down onto the CT side with this AWP. KPiz aggressive. Ezio is going to get punished off the back of that. Lazar is going to find the quick trade, though. Takes down Crimj. Neff finds himself just another on towards Max as the push certainly begins to formulate. Hudshi and Lazar a bit concerning when he goes that close range. It's certainly going to be a struggle for him to be able to land those shots at times, but who knows, as Jack going to be pretty much walking right into his crosshair. Immy to find the headshot on towards Neff as he finds himself well and truly dismantled, craniumless, sitting in the surgery, waiting for his brain to be repaired almost. As Capiz finds himself next in line on the chopping block. His head split into two. At Endpoint, they get themselves to 12 rounds on the board. And this time, there is no saving grace of 3 players with Skrilla and Capiz with a rifle on his back. All they've got to the table is $2,000, $2,600 at max, which just isn't enough to really be able to afford anything at all. It's just going to be these P250s, just the smokes, just the flashes. That's Skeletal style. And Endpoint will look to really whip out that jackhammer and bring this one right home. Keeping it clean, I think, is the easiest way to sum that one up. Happy days towards that, but nonetheless. Laza. Back on the aggression down these trains. Ezio already defined the first. Max is springing out off his flipbook on towards Crimj. Clearly been in the gym practicing his athletic ability. Jack trying to pin down the fortress of Ivy, give themselves something, a platform they can work this retake off of as he finds himself frag in return. Smoke to greet though. It's not really too positive. Things seem to be getting worse and worse by the second now for Royals. They got themselves to 8, but are they going to be able to get any more at all? As Jack, his position well and truly going to be known now by Hudshi, and that's going to find itself very quickly Molotov'd out. He's going to peek on out and take advantage of that nade throw. But with that bomb ticking away, that frag, yes, it's a frag, but it doesn't really affect the outcome of the round. It's still going to be Endpoint walking away with 2 rifles and AWP. It's still going to be their economy getting boosted further and further, and it's still, most importantly, the biggest, most pertinent part, 14-8. Endpoint just 2 away from getting their first map of the Premiership 2017. RoyalsUK on the flip side, only a couple from losing the opportunity. Lazar, yet again, I actually kind of want to give it to Lazar in this match because I think he's really stepped up to the plate on train and just clearing out these angles and being very secular in his approach. I'm curious to see if this round is going to be replayed or not, as we did see a DC from the side of RoyalsUK very early on, and I don't believe any damage was done. So that's certainly going to be an interesting topic. But for now, we're going to assume that it's being played out, and then we'll go with there. Or we'll go with that, should I say, to bring some correct English, of course. As it is just that 4v5, and I think static play may hint towards what's going on, but who knows. I'm gonna wait for that clock to tick on down. Endpoint starting to formulate over towards this B site with the faking presence of Hudshi as Ezio looking to lead the charge, gets the frag on towards Capiz, and almost perfect timing. His teammate Mighty Max gets the second on towards Tesco. That right there is what makes being a team and having that dynamic ability to work together so strong, and it really shows because 2 players, both entry from lower and upper at the same time, they both get those picks and completely annihilates that B site, giving them no opportunity to get those refrags. Now leaving Crimj up towards upper, Jack as well to having to rotate in. They have their work well and truly cut out for him. The angles are being covered. Ezio going to be there looking for the headshot, and he's going to tap on away, eventually finds it on towards Crimj. His life going to be ended. The beheading's in full swing at this point. There's Jack. He has got nothing left to bring. 1 versus 4. Backing on away. Neff has been welcomed, ushered back into the server. But Endpoint, they are on match point. Neff may find himself playing in just 1 final round before he disconnects again to go into that second map. RoyalsUK in terms of what they can bring. Well, Max 7s, pistols. They have got some rifles on the scout. Jack going to go very aggressive, but quick to be traded by Max, as he delivers a load of AK-47 bullets right into his back. Jack clearly starting to feel the pressure somewhat. Well, perhaps not even pressure, but giving it, suffice to say, I think is probably the best way of describing it. Certainly can argue if there's much seriousness in what's being said. I think I've been there, I've crossed that bridge, where UK players have just got to a point where they have just given up. Certainly a shame, but an interesting talking point nonetheless, so curious to see what RoyalsUK's mentality is, and can't really answer that question. I don't think it's fair for me to answer that question to say if they've, you know, lost their getting emotional or lost their ability to play or whatever it may be. I don't think it's fair for me to highlight that, but I think all I can say is kind of look at the chat and see what they're saying and see what what they're portraying at least. It says the only enemy going to combine just to find just another Tesco. He's going to find one in return with that FAMAS. It is a 3v2, which is not an impossible situation by a long shot, but Endpoint, they're pretty much on this B site. RoyalsUK are going to have to pull off one hell of a retake to bring this one back. Not only the retake, but then you're looking at the amount of rounds they have to string together. It's going to be a tough one. Yeah, Addict, I think it's always just banter, right? Most of it is. Tesco on towards Ezio. 17 HP, but it is a 2v2. F trying to hold this angle on towards Max. Now knows he full will have to go aggressive with the scout, trying to land a bit of a no-scope, but unfortunately he is going to miss. Max is going to find the double kill, and Endpoint are going to take their first win of the Premiership 2017, 16-8 against RoyalsUK, and that means that we are only going to be doing one thing, heading over to what will be our second map in this best of two. Be interesting to see what it's going to be.